Today we're going to create a formative assessment using Google Forms. This is part of a learning unit that we're going to go through together. And the unit is beginning with creating a formative assessment to initiate differentiated learning. And we're going to create the shell of our assessment today. The next video will walk us through adding what we we'll use eventually to initiate our differentiated instruction, which is a go-to section based on answer. Finally, the last component will be for us to actually go in and embed videos that will provide a review for our students who are struggling with a concept, maybe the concept we've covered in the previous lesson or another concept that we've covered within the unit. But let's go ahead and get started, and again, just create our formative assessment. It's going to be based on the quick quiz or QQ assessment that's often used. It's a short 5-question quiz. Our particular quiz is not going to be graded. It's going to be more of a learning assessment where we can kind of gauge where our students are and what type of assistance they need in moving forward. First question is a review of the previous day's lesson. The next 4 questions will be for me. I normally do it within the unit that I'm covering, but you are free to obviously pull those 4 questions from anything you've covered leading up until the day you use this assessment, anything for the school year. This particular assignment is going to end with a challenge video for those learners who are fully capable of answering each of the 5 questions with no trouble. And then finally, the entire class will be given a learner-centric problem, which will initiate some group work. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. You'll see I'm logged into Google, to my Google account. I would suggest that you create a Google account specifically for educational purposes that's not tied to your personal account, but that's just up to you. It's personal choice. So we're going to start a new form, and we want to create a blank form. So click on Start New Form in Blank. I'm going to give as an example for my first question. My entire unit is actually that I'm going to give you as an example is on fractions. At this point, you can go ahead and begin to type your own assessment, because that will be part of what you're going to provide me at the end of this unit, so that I can see you are doing well with the creation and the use of Google Forms. So you will need to create your own, but if you want to just follow along with me typing in what I'm typing for this first question, that's fine, but I would prefer that you go ahead and start your own assessment. So I'm going to type in the title of my form, and mine is going to be on fractions. I normally click in the upper left-hand corner. You see where my mouse is moving here, and then my title for my form comes up. Okay. I'm going to start by adding my first question. And my lesson that I would have covered the previous day would be on division using fractions. And you'll notice I'm reminding the students to place their answer in, or their expression in lowest terms, that their choice is expressed in lowest terms. Now, let's take a look at our options here. We are, for my purposes, for this particular assessment, I want you to do multiple choice, but for future references, you do have these options. So again, looking at what I did, I clicked on the drop down here, and you can do a short answer, a paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, drop down. You'll see all of the choices here. You can actually have them choose the date and time if you're doing this as homework assignment, or it's something that you have given them a deadline to create and you want it to come in and be time stamped. You can do that. Okay. So, but again, we're going to choose multiple choice. Now, want to go ahead and at this point, I'm simply going to type in some answer choices just to show you how that's done. Type in my first answer choice as 2/9, and then I click on the next line. I'm going to do 6/3. The next line 2. The next line 3/6. And my final answer choice is 1/2. Now, if you accidentally click to add an option and you don't want that option, as I just did, I have an option 6, you can quickly go over and remove it by clicking on the X. Okay. Now, I do want to require this question be answered. So in the lower right hand corner for my quizzes, I normally hit required. And then there we have our first question. We have our answer choices, and we have this question as being required. Now, not all of our items in here are going to be required. For instance, some of the activities like the videos will not be required. That will be only for those students who miss an answer. So let's go ahead and let's set up our sections for our particular quiz, because this is going to help us be able to use this particular assessment to as kind of like a differentiated learning component to our unit, where if a student misses the question, they will be prompted to go to a new section, which will provide them with a review. If they get the correct answer, then they're moved to the section that has the next answer. So kind of breaks off the learning to meet the needs of the student if they're struggling in this case with fractions. So let's go over here to the right hand side. You see we have a lot of choices. You see where my mouse is moving here. The plus sign is for when we want to add a new question. The right arrow on the folded down piece of paper is if we have questions and we want to import them. This, the double T's, is title and description. This is to add an image. This is to add a video. You see it kind of looks like the YouTube symbol. And then this is to add a section. So that's what we're going to work on now. We need a total of 12 sections. So let me show you how to add a section. Just click on the equal sign and section 2 comes up. Okay. Click on this section and we're going to have a total of 12. So just keep clicking on the sections. We'll go back and add names and descriptors in a moment. And again, you want 12 sections in all by the time that we are finished. Okay, there's my 12 of 12 sections. Okay. And again, only one has the questions in it and has our title. And the others just say untitled section all the way down. If you need to pause at this point, please do so until you get your 12 sections added, and then stop at 12. Let's say that you accidentally add a 13th one. As I've just done, to remove it, click on the 3 dots here, and then delete section. And it quickly deletes it. Okay. Now, the next step is to go back and simply add titles to these sections. And I've already, just for sake of time, created an example that has our sections named. Now, the way that this is organized is we had fractions here using, or dividing using fractions. And then the very next section is division of fractions review. You'll see that I typed in the descriptor, the word video. Your section 3 indicates that we're going on to a new question. And I have multiplying fractions. And then I added the word question. And don't worry about adding the question right now. I'll go back over that in just a moment. We just want to label our sections. Sections 4 and 5 are multiplying fractions review and equivalent fractions. And again, pause at any time that you need to look at what I'm typing, or if you need to think about what it is that you want to type at this point. Sections 6 and 7 are equivalent fraction review and adding fractions with unlike denominators. Again, I have my even number here is the review, my odd number is the new question. My sections 8 and 9 are adding fractions with unlike denominator review. You'll see I'm going to have a video here. Section 9 is a new question. For me, it's subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Sections 10 and 11, subtracting fractions with unlike denominators review. And my section 11 is multiplying mixed numbers challenge. So this is the video that I'm going to provide for my advanced learners, those who have successfully answered the previous 5 questions. And you see I'll put a little note there. You can put what you want, something to let them know that they've done well. And then my final section is the group prompt. And you can come up with any prompt that you want. Mine is dealing with fractions and how they would divide pizza among themselves in their group. Okay. Now, let's go back up. And for this particular point, I'm going to walk you through adding a question. Let's go back over to my first one, just to give you an example, just to remind you. This is where I'm going to have a question in my section 3. You see it just corresponds here. That's my section 3, multiplying fractions. And I want to add a question at this point. Okay, so what I want to do is click on where I have section 3. And again, for me, it's multiplying fractions. And it's my question. And to add a question, I just click on the plus sign with the circle in it. And just like we did our first question, you'll type your question here and then your answers here. And you want to do that for each of your sections that deals with a question. So section 3 will have a question. Your section 5 will have a question. Your section 7 will have a question. And your section 9 will have a question. The remaining sections are videos or challenges or grouped prompts. Okay, so we're going to stop there with this particular instructional component, because the only thing we wanted to do really was get our shell ready. By the time that you go to the next video component, you should have all of your questions typed in your sections. And again, you need to have 12 sections, total of 5 questions, and each of your sections labeled. Now, as far as including the videos, that will be discussed later. Our next video instructional unit will be for us to do the go-to section. But again, before you start the next part of our instructional unit, you need to have created this quiz, this formative assessment, and shared it with me so that I can give you a little bit of feedback before we go on. Email me or give me a quick call if you have questions, and I can come over and walk you through and address any problems that you may be having. Thanks.